It's time for Gardening Inside Out, a live show offering you plant advice for any space in your life. Introducing your perennial hosts, David Bates and Josh Carey.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Saturday morning. It's time for Gardening Inside Out. It's coming to you directly from the Green Room Studios here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. Does that every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock.
Yep. Central time, be it the
Daylight,
standard or
standard.
Doesn't matter. It's just that
I want the special order time, not the standard. We got to get the extra time.
I'm just glad we don't have to do it based on international time. That
Oh,
would,
gosh.
It would be like minus 6 hours or
Plus 13.
I'm not sure exactly how
That'd
that
be
math
tomorrow,
works.
so it'd be Sunday, so we couldn't actually do it.
Well, we'd have to have done it yesterday,
Yes.
which we're too late for that already. Let's talk about the weather. How about
Okay.
that? And today, of course, is Saturday, the 18th. Where's this month going, Josh?
I don't
The
know.
18th of May, and we're going to have some thunderstorms in the afternoon. Maybe it
Really?
might not even wait that long. We'll look at the radar here in a second, but 77, so it's going to be seasonably mild yet again today with some thunderstorms likely at some point. Tomorrow, things warm up and sunshine returns.
Thank you.
86 degrees, 63 for the overnight. Monday, more of the same, a little warmer, 88, 67. Tuesday, 89, 71. And then, guess what? The showers return on Wednesday. 84, 67, 80, 66. And then we get, briefly back into the 70s by the end of the week, 77, 64. And we've got a chance of rain Wednesday through the weekend as it currently shows. Let's take a look at the radar. And here you see there are storms out west have moved through Jackson and are somewhat meandering this direction. So we'll see when they arrive. Perhaps it will indeed be afternoon. So there is that. Current weather conditions 69 degrees here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. From the Green Room, we have received 57 hundredths of an inch of rain this week. That brings us to 23 and a half
Got
for
a
the
whole
year.
lot more than that. You only got a half an inch?
Yeah,
here?
we didn't get that much here.
Wow.
Yep. So I don't feel slighted though because
You can have some from Smyrna.
there are areas that have gotten,
Golly.
and that's the nature of storms is that it could be a fairly close distance and be a dramatic difference. And we want to send special thoughts out to everyone out in Houston.
Yeah.
Gosh, what a tremendous blow that they literally a derecho that came in, and I don't know how many inches of rain it dropped, but the wind was approaching 100 miles an hour straight line, and they had major transmission lines go down. There's still more than 500,000 people in Harris County, which is the Houston proper,
Right.
without power. Most of them won't get it back until maybe sometime next week, and it may be weeks, plural, before they all get it on. So
That's a flat part of the country. That wind from any direction.
no, there's not, except for skyscrapers, and they didn't do that good of a job because a lot of the glass is no longer in them. They got broken out stress loads that were not designed for. So anyway, hopefully that if you're in Houston, things are recovering for
Yes.
you. And we're going to get right into the gardening side of things, Josh.
The inside or the outside?
Oh, probably some of both.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that it means we need to include inside Caroline Gant, Austin Lowen. Welcome in, guys.
Good morning.
Glad to see you both today. And, of course, Tyler Blankenship across the way.
Tyler
keeping-
Cam.
Getting us on air and helping us to do what we do and to be able to make things happen in the garden. And we got questions.
We
I know
do.
that.
We
Yes,
do.
I know that for a fact. And this is that time of year when people are they're in that time where they're trying to get ready for the summer that's out there ahead. There's always
I'm done. I'm ready.
difficulties. Are you ready?
Yeah, man. Garden's
Well,
in.
That's good.
New plants planted.
Everything, everything's planted, and that's all a good thing. But I would say this is probably like the peak time for questions because the bugs have showed up.
Oh, have
the
they?
fungus has showed up. The issues with our plants have showed up. So lots of questions about that, I'm sure. We've been getting, this week has been the week of the rose questions, okay? We got roses that are blooming around town right now, but we've got the little sawfly larvae that love the roses. We've got the black spot that's getting on your roses, and people have questions about that. How do we... Slugs are out there. I saw, it was me and Tyler yesterday looked
We're
at...
easily confused.
Yeah.
It
was me, Austin.
It was you, yes. It was showing me pictures of hosta getting just ravaged by slugs and snails.
No. That's sad.
They love the hostas. But yeah, this is the time when things are happening, good or bad.
Coming out. Yep.
Yep.
You're right.
I wonder if slugs and deer are mortal enemies simply because that they both love to chew hostas to the ground.
Yeah, they fight over the hostas. The difference with the slugs and the deer is that the deer will just chomp them,
Right.
just take them like half at a time, or whatever. Slugs just make irregular holes, and like that's kind of the damage with slugs. It's like a spot here, spot there that's been chewed.
So
And-
perhaps that's how that's their version of escargot.
Oh
Or
yeah,
they
they might get one while
Just a
they
little
chomp
extra.
it.
It could be a little add a little crunch to it.
That could be it. All right, we ready to dive into some questions?
Do it.
Dive.
Let's do it. Let's dive. Speaking of diving, we're going to talk about a rain garden. Couldn't really dive into it, but water. Good rain garden bush, not grass. And then they say, sorry, Austin, 3 foot wide by 4 to 6 foot tall.
Okay, well that's no grass. Okay, I get it. Y'all know
you
I love my
sad
grass.
about that?
I'm a little sad, but that's okay. Got some other ones. Okay, so Itea comes to mind.
Absolutely.
Definitely. It's in bloom right now. It
I
handles
love
those wet
mine.
feet. It's really good in that scenario. Great fall color, good bloomer. Just a good plant in general. Can live anywhere. Calicanthus comes to mind. This is a sweet shrub, people call it.
Also love that too. I have one as well.
That gets kind of large and it grows really fast. Button bush comes to mind. That's Cephalanthus, and that's a little white bloomer. It likes the water just fine, and it's okay. It can get a little big. Don't be scared to cut it. It's easy. It's a nice native around here. All 3 of these, actually. No, Calicanthus I don't think is. But Itea and Cephalanthus, both natives. So that would work. If you want an evergreen inkberry holly could
There
work
you
for
go.
that. So there's just some options.
Look at
that's
you,
not
full
a
of
grass.
ideas.
Would we consider papyrus a grass?
It's listed in that family, so
what?
yes.
Papyrus.
Papyrus.
Oh, papyrus.
It would do well, but it's not going to survive.
Yeah, it doesn't last the winters here.
Okay.
It'd be great for the season.
Yeah.
That's a cool plant too.
It's really cool, and they get so
Gorgeous.
big. I'm a big fan.
You can make paper out of it.
The first
Well, look
paper
at
was
you.
made from
Have you ever
It
done
was. No,
Yes.
never.
it? Whoa. Early on in the broadcast, you're already getting sassy. All right, let's talk about peonies. My peony has finished blooming, and now it's getting powdery mildew.
No.
What do I do?
The peonies with their issues after they
Still worth it,
bloom.
though.
You should tell it to stop raining.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah, it's like I said earlier, it's fungus season. So
Maybe that's an opportunity for like peony umbrellas that you could stake into your garden.
Oh, that'd be
just
kind
to
of
keep
cute.
well, and the good thing for you is that sometimes I say peony, sometimes I say peony.
I do, too. I
It's
never know
just
how to say it.
How it is. But anyway, like with powdery mildew, you have to kind of prevent powdery mildew. Once you got it, spraying fungicides is not really going to do much.
And that prevention
Unfortunately.
can come down to a matter of hours when you have the opportunity and can take the action. So it's really tough.
Yeah, it is. And the thing about peonies now, too, is that they're not throwing any more leaves. What the leaves they have for the season is going to be the leaves they have for the rest of the season. So if you spend 30 minutes to an hour, whatever, go out there with like a damp cloth and wipe off those leaves.
What
There's
kind of
not-
cloth? Oh, damp.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
damp.
Okay.
Damn.
I misunderstood you.
You might be saying a different word while you're doing that.
Right.
But,
darn cloth. Yes.
but just take your time. There's only so many leaves. It's not like it's a super leafy plant like a holly or boxwood or something. So go out there, try to wipe off that powdery mildew as much as you can. Just do it, y'all. Just do it.
It'll be okay. It'll be just fine. I think I have aphids on most of my plants.
Ah.
Help. That's the pest that I would want. If I was to have anything on all of my plants, I would choose aphids.
Such a great point, because aphids are like a draw-in good bugs bug. Okay,
They get a bad rap.
Yeah, they get a bad rap, but they don't do all that much damage really to a plant. But they do bring in those good bugs that we want, those lacewings, those ladybugs, the ones that really feed on the aphids, and we want to get those in the garden as much as we can. If you just have a little aphid problem, it's not worth spraying synthetic insecticides.
We can agree that they do suck.
Yes.
I mean, that's literally
what they do.
That's what they do. But you're right. They do draw in a whole host of beneficial pests that might not only feed on them, but on other things as well.
Exactly. So, keeping the numbers at bay is probably a good idea. We don't want, 10 can go to 100 to 1,000,000 somewhat quickly. So we kind of do have to keep an eye on that. But don't just freak out and just start spraying crazy insecticides when you just have a little aphid problem.
What I have seen lady beetles clean off many hundreds in the course of a few hours.
Yes.
So they can just chomp down. I mean, that must be like M&Ms to them or Skittles.
Yes.
They just really chomp them down. It's amazing.
It is.
Corn nuts.
Corn nuts.
Yeah, corn nuts.
That's not my analogy,
possible.
but yeah.
A lot of times with aphids, if I get them on my house plants, they really like tropical hibiscus as well. I will just spray them off with some light water pressure.
Yeah, that's
and it
all it
takes
takes.
doing it a couple times, and after maybe 3 to 4 times, they usually will go away and leave those plants alone. And it's kind of fun to watch them just fly everywhere. In a way. All right, best deterrent for ants eating strawberries and under squash plants.
Oh, I mean,
He said,
ants.
"Oh."
I thought I guess they could be eating the strawberries if they're like open. I just don't think of ants as plant bugs all that much. They're just
No.
really not.
They're just
they would
usually
only
there.
be eating them when they were really ripe.
Really ripe,
So
yeah.
that would mean
Wounded
you're
in
not picking
particular.
often
Yeah.
enough.
Yes, you need to pick strawberries, and this goes with tomatoes and a lot of different fruits. You need to be picking those things a day or two before they're fully ripe, because that is when the little critters, the insects, all of them really like them too.
Birds go down there, peck a hole in
Yeah.
it, and that sweet stuff gets out. And then
So whenever
all
they're
over it.
starting to turn red, not fully red and ripe, you pick those, bring them into your house, and they will ripen inside your home, okay? That's typical for me to do before the ants start to get them, because ants will feed on strawberries once they're like juices leaking out.
Yeah.
So pick them a little bit earlier. And now ants under a squash plant isn't really that big of a deal. I mean, it kind of, I guess
Aerates
it's
the
annoying.
soil.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of annoying that you have to maybe pick squash or prune squash or whatever you have to do around the ants, but I don't think it's worth killing them or anything.
I have ants in my garden bed.
Ants are everywhere.
Yeah.
They're like the most abundant creature on the planet.
It's just
And
one
so
of those.
strong.
Yeah.
It's just one of those opportunities for not using any kind of a chemical
Right.
control.
Yeah.
Just live with them. They got their job to do.
They
and
do.
Yeah.
They're not normally all that injurious.
Now,
So
if the uncles show up,
and then you got
now
it's game over.
hey, what are you going to do?
It took me a minute to get that.
I liked it.
I was like, what? All right. Why are all my wisteria leaves turning brown and falling off? I just bought it 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
No, no.
only 2 weeks ago.
That's
Got
quick.
dry.
So
Sounds
probably
good.
dry. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I can't imagine how it could be dry.
Yeah.
Since we've been so wet. That's such a weird.
Now the thing of it is, when you have a new planting, it only has to get dry that one time.
You're right.
You can water it all you want to afterwards, and it won't undo the damage immediately that occurred when it got too dry. So we've had some opportunities that generally, yes, it's been plenty wet, and you may have perceived that it was staying very wet, but it probably just got too dry. Now, does that mean it's dead? I don't think so.
I wonder
Unless
if
you
it's
left it-
actually in the ground and not in a pot, too.
Well,
It's possible.
we didn't get that information, I don't
Yeah,
think.
so-
But it definitely got too dry. Strip all of that brown foliage, off of it, and keep it watered. It'll flush back out.
Yeah, it probably will. And David, you're so right. The first watering is so crucial. You've got to make sure you get it down deep and around the root zone. Just because it rains.
And throughout the root ball.
Yes, throughout the root ball. Water it before you ever plant it. First off, soak it, and then plant it, and then soak it again.
Drown it.
Yes, right around the root zone. Because even if it rains, that doesn't necessarily mean that rain is penetrating all that deep down into the ground,
And you've got to have that opportunity to settle the air pockets out from around the root ball. And if you leave those in there, then you're going to naturally induced dry spots that can occur around the root zone, which can be injurious and create such things as dead leaves. So,
and anytime something happens that quickly, within 2 weeks, it's an underwater scenario, not an overwater. Overwatering takes a while to kill a
it's just
plant.
But then
almost
it kills
impossible.
It like crazy.
Right.
I think if you put it in a tub of water for 2 weeks, it wouldn't do that.
No.
No, I don't think so. I think you're right. Let's stay on the vine topic, shall we? Will
shall.
star jasmine survive here?
Tell them, Caroline.
It will if we have a mild winter. I had one for about 3 years planted outside in a pot, and it did great. It held its leaves through the winter. It bloomed like spring, summer, smelled amazing. December 2022 came around. Killed it real fast. It
22.
was gone. Yep, 22.
Then 23.
So if you really want one, I would say it's worth planting. You will probably lose it eventually. I'm not sure if it would have survived this past winter either.
They are a
honest.
great annual that occasionally acts like a perennial.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
And if you treat it as such, as you just said, you can. It's not unusual to get numerous years out of it. However, if you have it planted in a container, you're probably only going to get just the one. It'll freeze out consistently, above the ground situation. If it's in the ground, it can make it for several. And if you give it a little bit of protection, it can probably make it through, even fairly severe winters. But you got to do some major protection on it.
Now, I got to ask, Steve, what do you think about yours that was in a pot? Do you think it went through and tapped into the earth?
Well, I don't think so because when I pulled it up, there were no roots.
Okay.
Because I always check that because I think it's cool when plants root through. I had a blueberry bush in a pot on my driveway that my mom gave me. Good morning, Sherry Gant.
Hey, Cher.
Hey. And it rooted out of the pot and like into the driveway and just kept going. It was crazy when I pulled it up.
I know. I love it.
It is now in the ground.
It taps into the earth and you don't have to water it near as much.
I know.
love it
It's
when
the
that
best.
happens.
It's so cool.
Yep.
All right. Last vine question of the morning. Do you prune crossvine or let it go wild? Training to climb over an arbor. I let mine go pretty wild. I'll prune it to keep it in check if it's starting to grow somewhere where I don't want it to grow. But cutting it back makes it look really, really healthy. So if you want to cut some of the dead off, they do look a little bit tired year after year if you don't prune them back. So if you don't like that kind of tired, worn look that it can have from time to time, you can cut it back. It's really just up to you and what your aesthetic is with that plant.
And they are really manageable compared
Right.
to a lot of vines. They don't grow so aggressively that they overgrow the area. So it doesn't take a whole lot of pruning to keep them within bounds.
Keep it clean on that arbor too.
Yeah. I think this is what's your personality? Are you like Caroline and let it just go?
We know
Are
what
you
your
like me?
personality. We know what your personality is don't use Bignonia.
Well, if I did and I had it, I probably would right now probably actually go ahead and give it a trim. So I see what Caroline said, a nice flush to keep it tight on that arbor. 'Cause
Exactly.
That's what I want.
Yep. Enough
No.
for Austin. I mean, it's
No.
just it's a
It's not loud
little
enough.
it's a little
Way too
subdued.
reserved. Yeah.
One day you'll plant one. No, you won't. No, you won't.
Austin's got something to prove us all wrong here in a minute.
We'll see.
Oh, is it a clematous?
He's
Teaser.
too-
Don't even.
He's too
Clematis?
That's all I'm going to say.
See, I didn't even need to take a picture of my crossvine because I can talk about it so much. Y'all didn't need to see a photo. We got a live question in about strawberries. I planted, well, it's more of a comment. I planted a bunch of strawberries and have only gotten one because my dog and the squirrels are eating them all.
Ah,
At least they're eating well.
hey, good
That's
for your
so
dog.
true. You're feeding those dogs,
The
those
dog
squirrels.
should be addressing the squirrel issue, though.
That's the thing. Yeah, he
Yeah,
should.
come on.
He
man.
should take the
They might be
squirrels.
buddies.
Then
then
normally
get the
they
strawberries.
normally they are not in cahoots.
No. So,
Train your dog to run off the squirrels and then pick the strawberries gently and bring them to you.
Yeah, not to go once you go back in the house. Say, come on back out. They're inside. They don't know.
That would be pretty cute if you could train your dog to do that.
That would be
My
amazing.
dogs would never. Ever
Well,
be able to
somebody
do
will
that.
put a video up about it. I'm sure it's happened somewhere. There are people filming animals 24 hours a day. So.
Yeah, that's true. The internet is full of them. All right. Is there an ornamental grass that thrives in shade or part shade that gets 6 feet tall?
6 feet tall.
I mean, I typically tell people, I mean, they don't want full shade like at all, but part shade environment is okay, and there is what's that one? The switchgrass
Totem pole.
Totem pole. That one gets the tallest. You could probably expect 6 feet out of it. And the good thing for you, if you put it in shade, it might actually reach for sun
that
and
happens
maybe
with some
get
of my
taller.
switchgrass.
Yeah, now my belief is that you would, if you were going to do that, is to use one of those grow through type of frames to let it grow through, because being in the shade, it's going to be weak and floppy. It's going to have that tendency. You get a hard rain or a high wind, it's going to lay it down. So if you're in really heavy shade, it might survive, but it's not going to be nearly as strong. So a grow through type of frame like you would use on a peony would be, that would be my suggestion. But you might try it for a year and see if it's necessary or not.
I think that's a great point, because I think what you're going to see if it's in the shade is those blades won't get as fat and as thick and sturdy. It'll probably be a little bit more spindly. So what David said, putting it through that is going to keep it upright and actually get it to 6 foot.
Yeah, but if you got a chance of getting it to 6 foot tall, what are you going to have to do?
Well, it's got to survive, first of all.
Yes.
And your best chance for survival comes with using Earth Mix garden products.
Really?
And that's not limited to just switch grasses or anything, or just shade plants, or just plants in containers, or tropical plants, or if it applies really to everything that grows. And Earth Mix garden products gives you a selection of soils and amendments for every gardening need. And you can check that out over at earthmix.net. And you can also check out, while you're there, all of the locations where Earth Mix garden products can be found. And you just click on the Find Earth Mix tab. And once you're there, a map of the U.S. pops up. Earth Mix is not international yet. So you'll see we're way out west, Victory Gardens out there in Meridian, Idaho, near Boise, and then pretty much all over the Tennessee, Kentucky area, northern Alabama, and more locations coming. Check that out at earthmix.net. You can put your address in for turn-by-turn directions to the location nearest you. You can also scroll down to the bottom of the page, and all of them are listed by areas of either town or state. So check all that out at earthmix.net. Remember this, success in gardening begins at the ground level.
Yes.
When you use Earth Mix garden products, it's 100% organic. There are no chemical additives of any type. The only thing added to the supernatural, and this is to make it super, is additional endo and ecto mycorrhizal fungi and humic acid.
Oh, yeah.
All of which are naturally occurring. We put that in there to boost the amount in there, and also to activate those soils and amendments so that they can really give your growing media the punch needed to get your plants growing off correctly. So check it out, earthmix.net, and we appreciate you giving us a moment to discuss that and for supporting Earth Mix products. I've had the opportunity to talk to a number of folks lately who are big proponents of Earth Mix garden products, and so I'm always really feel privileged and pleased to get to hear that.
Yep. If your garden center doesn't have it, you
might ask them why.
Might ask them. Yeah.
Yep, and have it on good information. We've got some other ones coming online here in the near future, so we're looking forward to making those kind of announcements and expanded capacity of other size products. But we can't talk about that yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But we can talk about. Whoa!
Oh, the show's over.
We can talk about who's pushing the buttons.
No, don't talk about me.
All right, let's start with a photo, Tyler.
Okay.
And what's blooming? Oh! Clematis.
that
Eat your
noise
heart
again.
out, Crossvine Caroline. Look at that. Really?
No, my crossvine.
It's
was
not
great
that.
this year.
It's not that.
It's not that now.
It's not that.
But it was more.
I just want to. I
in
just want to
January,
stop.
your crossvine.
It's going to look way better than
Oh,
that.
yes.
And the leaves are going to be almost.
I will take no leaves in the winter for that all day long.
Will you?
I will.
It doesn't have to be that color either, does
you'll
it?
have
It does. It's got that color.
That's the one?
It's so good. Okay,
You do
let's
love
keep
that
going.
crossvine. Oh,
Let's keep
clematis.
going. That's the vine. It's so good. I love it. All right. Creeping Time still going in my yard. Shasta Daisy still going in my yard. And Verbena still going in my yard. All three very closely planted together. They're looking nice. Daylilies going off. Honeysuckles still going, but about done. Alliums just started. I love my alliums. They're great. Red Hot Poker still going. Looking pretty good this year. Hey, a new one for this week. Prickly Pear Cactus. Shout out, Caroline.
Yeah.
You love it.
I have a lot of it.
Yes, you do.
Even Sarah Bates planted some.
She did, yeah.
So
So that's good.
I have a
Huber up.
visual.
And then it rained on it.
Hey,
Tyler's
got one.
That's my prickly pear in bloom.
Yes.
It's the best.
It is really
y'all.
pretty.
And
I'll
mine
give you
fruits every year.
Yep.
Amazing.
You
Yellow-
harvest it?
Yeah.
Do you?
And then I don't do much with it from there. But
Okay.
The
yeah.
blooms
take it
are
off
so
anyway,
big, the
right?
bees swim in them
Yeah.
like little swimming pools.
It's so cute.
Alrighty, that shade-loving foliage plant, heuchera, it's blooming. The Asiatic lilies just started, just started. I think mine popped this morning, no joke. Yarrow's still going, but probably needs to be cut back soon so it reblooms. Echinacea just started. Ann in the office told me her echinacea just opened up literally like 2 days ago, okay? Hey, shout out to those natives around here. The penstemon is blooming, and the milkweed just started blooming. That butterfly weed, that orange that you see. Steve, who works here, shout out Steve, love you. He showed me a picture of his orange blooming butterfly weed this morning, and that is fantastic.
Yes.
Love those. Great for the monarch. Butterflies, hey, I've already talked about it. Your roses, they're in bloom. Oak leaf hydrangeas, the second week I speak of this, they are beautiful right now.
incredible.
Itea is still going. I talked about Itea earlier with great fall color. It's still showing off right now with its blooms. Hey, let's go to the trees. Little leaf linden. You ever think about little leaf linden?
No.
Unless you're a beekeeper.
You don't mean-
Beekeepers love them.
You don't mean Tilia cordata, do you?
That's what I mean, David. That's what I mean. Little leaf linden, that's a pretty little tree. Underused. If you're a beekeeper, you need them. The bees love them, okay? Hey, Coosa dogwood's still hanging on, almost out, though. Magnolia's showing off. I'm going to be talking about that for a month. Y'all get ready. But their cousin, the big leaf magnolia. Hey,
All right.
those are beautiful. And you don't see them very often. I took a detour yesterday with my family. We went out to dinner because my daughter graduated second grade yesterday. So, hey, shout out Ivy Joe. Love you. And on our way home, I took a different route home just so I could see a big leaf magnolia. And it was in full bloom on Oak Lawn Road. Love that road. Beautiful, beautiful.
No, that was a grandifolia, not a acuminata.
Probably, yes, grandifolia or macrophylla, one of those, Chinese chestnut, y'all, still beautiful. Sprays of blooms. They spray at you. They're
do.
beautiful.
I love
and then,
that
hey,
one.
catalpa still holding on. What a big
buddy.
leaf blooming tree. And my last one on the list, just for fun, the old weed out in the fields, thistle.
Yes.
I love a thistle bloom.
I love thistle.
I mean, that thing will tear you up. Don't even try to pull it.
No.
Use your shovel and dig it. That thing will get you.
Use
But
your
the bloom,
backhoe and dig it.
the bloom is money. That's what's in bloom.
Beautiful.
Way to go. You know what?
Yeah.
The one thing you mentioned
Shut
that's
that, dear
more
diary.
than just in
not a
bloom
dear
is
diary.
the
It's your dear diary.
southern magnolias, which are of course one of the things you mentioned. More than just the open flower, they have a great fragrance to them. Wonderful.
good.
So stop and smell a magnolia near you.
There you go. David, yours in the side of your house is looking good now. It's,
It
you got it
is
a good
awesome.
prune last year, and it's
Yeah,
it's flushing tight.
It
I like
takes
it.
when you have to do a hard prune on one, it takes it a couple of years to really fill back in. I got that one pruned at the same time as ones at my home in town, and it's only just now really filling back in nicely. So it does take a couple of years for all that sparse areas to totally foliate back in, but they both really look excellent now.
I saw one.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Miriam is saying that, and she's offering a recipe.
Hey, Miriam.
Yuccas are
Hey,
popping, and it's time to scramble up some petals with onions and eggs.
Hey.
I've not had that.
Miriam, you fancy.
But by the way, shout out to Miriam and all the great folks out at the Hillsborough West End Neighborhood Association. Thoroughly enjoyed getting to visit with a lot of those folks. Great gardens and wonderful neighborhood, and we were glad to be a supporter of their gardening event going on last weekend. So shout out to Miriam. Always good to see her. She's just, she gets it done.
Yeah.
But she's retiring from the board of that event. So we'll see who steps up next year.
Or somebody that won't be at the meeting will get appointed. So, I mean, that's always.
I don't know who was there and who wasn't, but yes.
Point the fingered.
Oh.
I knew that yucca, you can harvest the root of a yucca to make a soap out of, but I didn't know that they were
You can
actually
also
edible.
fry 'em. Yeah, they are.
Really?
Yucca's edible.
Nopal.
They are. We did get a yucca question in.
Mm-hmm.
My yucca has blooming stalks that are so large they are falling over. Do you prune these? No.
No, don't prune.
you
I mean, this is
can
the
if it's
time.
going crazy, but stake it.
Yeah, stake it. Get you a bamboo stake or something. You can just put it pretty close to it, and just keep it up because this is the time for yucca. I'm sorry, Miriam, I forgot the yucca this week. But you're right,
Oh,
it
you
is in
did.
bloom.
Yeah.
I did. I forgot it.
Good call, Miriam.
called me out.
Yeah, she did.
Miriam.
Love
She
it.
called you
I
out and
love
didn't
you.
even know she was calling you
I
out.
know.
Well, maybe she did, and she was just being nice because that's the way Miriam is.
Miriam is
She's nice.
fantastic.
So great. But yeah, stake it up. Enjoy those blooms. You got 2 or 3 weeks left of them blooming, so may as well keep them up and looking good.
Because they'll harden off and then you can trim them off, right?
Yeah, so once they finish blooming, they'll go to seed. They put their
So many
seed pods
seeds.
up. Uh-huh.
So many.
Then you can cut them off if you want or do what you wish. You
Yeah.
know?
My yucca's not blooming this year, but it did bloom, last year.
Yucca's weird about blooming.
Yeah, it is.
It blooms this time of year, but then it also like randomly throws blooms in the fall sometimes, I've noticed, which is odd. I've seen it. Don't
Are
give me
you
that.
sure?
I'm
I don't know about that. All right,
Trust
y'all.
me.
We've got a long question in from Colin.
Yep.
calling.
Colin. That
Col.
starts, Dear David.
Oh,
So I've run into a problem where a friend asked me how to best take care of a plant. It was a tiger lily overrun with lily aphids. They are not the best gardeners, so I gave them some advice as best I could, which they did not truly follow. But sadly, the plant succumbed to the grim beyond. It was indeed sad, and I offered my condolences. But now I'm being charged with horticultural homicide. My claim is that it is my fault that the plant had died, and now my friend is wanting me to replace it because I gave them bad advice.
Well, you know, advice in life is worth what you pay for it. and
Right.
it's usually free. So, you know, that's part of the penalty you pay for soliciting free advice. Is
And
that
this was not a premeditated horticultural homicide.
No.
Either. So, I mean,
And
you have to take the degrees of what's going on.
I believe it's a bit presumptive to put
Yes.
the blame on Colin. So, you know, there could be that there's a lot of points of interaction in between the message coming from the messenger being received by the person.
Would we be
who's-
considered his peers? So could we be a jury here? And
Well, I think we have some qualified.
I vote to acquit, Colin. How, anybody else? All in favor?
Well, you know,
Aye.
you know, Colin
Motion
is
to
a,
dismiss.
Yeah, Colin is a
Mistrial for sure.
Colin is a guy who's very inquisitive with respect to horticultural.
Yes.
So it's possible he missed the mark. I'm pretty sure it was not with intent.
No.
So
No
and it
premeditation.
might have been that the action party was culpable in some way. So
I think so.
anyway.
Colin, you're doing great.
You are doing great. Good morning, Colin.
You are exonerated, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
you are. All right, let's talk about some butterfly bush. Thoughts on butterfly bush? I've heard mixed things about them.
Well, that's a great.
I have mixed feelings about them.
I've got mixed feelings as well. Okay, butterfly bush is one of those plants that it's like it'll live, bloom, be great, live for 2 or 3 seasons, and then one year just die.
Boom.
And you're like, why? Why'd you just die? Like it happens sometimes, and a great question because like you just said, I have mixed feelings about it as well.
Yeah.
There's the Pugster blue butterfly bush that I love so much. I've been wanting to try it, but I'm still on the fence about butterfly bush so much that I have not.
You
bought
should
one.
try it,
Now-
and then you can give us more advice.
I
About
have a theory about butterfly bush and the buddleia family, and it's much the same as that theory that I apply to Carya japonica, which if you trim them at the wrong time, it's probably going to kill them. They have this. My suggestion is when they first start putting out new growth, that's when you want to cut them back. Cut them back as hard as you want to, and then don't trim them anymore until the next year. For whatever reason, buddleia and for sure Carya japonica, if you trim those things after they flower, unlike most things, they just won't come back usually. And I don't know why. There's got to be some reason for it, but I haven't been able to discern that. I've just seen time and again, if you trim them at the wrong time, they never seem to perform well thereafter. So there
Hey,
you go.
I need a follow up. I bought a Pugster blue butterfly bush for one of our guests last year. What's her name?
Risha.
Reesh.
You
send in a
You
live
had
something.
to buy it. You lost a bet or something.
I did lose a bet. I bought it for them too. They took it home. Hey, comment. Is it living? I want to see a picture. Let us know, Reesh.
Probably
you're
not.
watching.
Probably
Those
not
are-
blooming yet, right?
Wouldn't be blooming. I just want to see if it's alive.
Those are much improved cultivars
They
as
are.
far as the growth habit goes, because the original Buddleias that were sold for years just got way too big. And by the fact that they stay a lot more compact, it alleviates a lot of the trimming problems associated with them, just because they don't outgrow the area so quickly.
I'd love to plant like 3 of them together.
I know.
I think you
Big
should.
mass.
Do it. Second butterfly bush question.
No.
I planted a butterfly bush in full sun. Now I'm seeing leaves curling and yellowing. What are your thoughts?
Well, yellowing could mean a number of things. I don't know how old it is. Did they say they just planted it?
Well, they said planted.
It's
so.
planted, so it's been wet.
Sounds like they recently planted it, by the way it was worded.
Sounds
but I could
moist
be
to
wrong.
me.
It sounds like it could be wet. I mean, that it's been a wet spring, so I mean, it could be that. Curling sometimes means aphids. Insects in there. Get in there and look at it. But I'd have to see it. There's so many things that this could be. And
Always
also, what
email us a
percentage?
photo.
This is always the first question that I ask guests when they come in with problems. What percentage of the plant is yellow? Is it 1 leaf?
Yeah.
Is it 10 leaves?
Is it just leaves on the interior down at the bottom?
Exactly. Like a tomato plant, for instance. I
Those
guess
are
came
not
in.
indications that there's anything wrong. It's normal.
It's part of it. Plants lose leaves from the interior or the lower parts typically first, and that's totally normal. So
Because they don't get enough light.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't contribute to the growth of the plant or any other photosynthesis. So the plant says, I'm done with you.
yeah, I mean, even if
we need to send the energy elsewhere.
exactly, even if 10% of your plant is yellow, like 90% of your plant is green and good. So that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
90%'s an A.
Hey, David, Jan wants a
There
little
you
bit
go.
of clarification about trimming the butterfly bush. She say, are you saying don't deadhead?
I think deadheading is fine. If you're going to cut it back hard,
Okay. She's
I
just
would
asking.
I would
Yeah.
do that just as the first signs of new growth are emerging. So that does require you to be paying attention to it. We're already well beyond that. They're fully leafed out and they probably have buds forming on them. So just deadhead off as necessary, and that's perfectly fine. But
Yeah.
they don't seem to do well with a hard prune back. Unlike many flowering shrubs, they just seem to have problems with it.
Hey, has anybody ever brought a butterfly bush bloom into a cut flower scenario?
It doesn't do well.
Doesn't do well.
No.
I've never tried.
You got minutes of enjoyment.
You do, and then they just do this, and then they fall off.
Okay, good to know.
But they look cute. I want them to be a great cut flower, but they're just not. All right, we got another question in from Miriam.
Hey, Miriam.
Miriam says, I've planted a banana in full sun in a large pot. What's the care and keeping? Could it possibly overwinter? And can you suggest best companion plants?
Okay, I'm gonna give it to you, Miriam. I don't think there's a companion you need to put in with a banana. Okay, first off, your banana's going to be fine. As long as it's the hardy banana, they're going to be hardy even in a pot here. Okay, but that banana is going to take over that whole pot. I mean, you could maybe for the first season put some spillers around it or something. Maybe some trailing whatever.
Lantana.
Trailing
Do it.
lantana.
It
That'd
would be a
good.
great one.
Like for the first season, using annuals, that'd be okay. But that banana is going to go from 1 to 5. And then those 5 is going to go to 10. So it's going to fill up that pot. So I don't necessarily know.
Then the pot will explode.
Yes. It'll break your pot. So, yeah, you might, after the 2 or 3 seasons, you might have to dump that banana out of the pot and, prune it, get out a whole bunch of those pups and then put it back in that pot because then,
It'll grow into it real fast.
Oh, real fast.
Yeah. Tyler?
Tyler's signed. He
Tyler
knows.
just...
I've been through about a month of pruning my bananas, or whatever you call them, dividing.
Yeah.
Pups. Yep.
There's a huge mass that develops under the ground, under the soil. It's this big, solid, white, fleshy. It's crazy. And you just have to dig out big chunks of it to get out as much of it as possible. And if you don't get out that, it'll send up more pups.
Get ready, Miriam.
I want more pups on mine.
And it's
If you got the room.
and it's
Yes.
3 bigs big.
3 bigs?
Big. So
Big.
remember that.
Big. All right, one of our viewers has fire blight on trees. Whoa.
That's a big,
And
tiny,
then
big
they said,
explosion.
help, is it a goner? Fire blight.
Not good.
It's not good. Fire blight's a nasty pathogen. It really is, and it mainly affects a lot of fruit trees and
Pears
anything in the prunus family, cherries.
It gets Bradford pear trees, though.
It does.
Yeah,
It'll take 'em.
it does.
But they seem to be the most resilient to it.
They really do.
unfortunately.
You're right. Yeah, crabapple can get it. I actually just saw a picture yesterday of a crabapple that seemed to have fire blight, which is annoying. You can kind of tell if you have fire blight because a lot of times the leaves will turn black or brown and they droop down and they look dead, but they persist on the tree. They don't fall off. That's a characteristic of fire blight, which is kind of unique. But you can prune back. So what's recommended is to take a stem that's, say, your stem's up here in black looking bad. Take that stem as far back down or totally off.
At least a foot beyond where that it appears to be affected. And you should also have a alcohol wipe or a cloth that's got alcohol where you can wipe your shears off between each cut so that you don't take a chance on spreading this to another cut somewhere else. So it's very important to don't transmit this pathogen to other trees.
What if it's on the trunk?
Sometimes
shovel is the answer.
Yes,
or
exactly.
Grubbing hoe, you dig it out and you burn it.
Yes. Sometimes, like you just said, Dave, you got to cut your losses in gardening sometimes. If you have a bad apple in the group, you get rid of it immediately.
Even if
you
it's
don't
a
even
bad
think
crab
about
apple.
it. Yes, even a bad crab apple. You just get rid of it. I'm sorry, but it happens.
But then if you get rid of it, what do?
You go somewhere to find a new one.
You do.
Right. And, that somewhere could be a Nashville tradition called Bates Nursery and Garden Center. And now for 92 years, we've been bringing Nashville and Middle Tennessee the most diverse, most expansive selection of everything horticultural. And that includes all manner of broadleaf evergreens, coniferous evergreens, ornamental grasses, fruit trees, you name it.
Vegetables.
Full sun, shade, natives. If you're looking for things that are native plants, we have it we have an incredible selection of natives. They're just not all in one spot. No. So you need to connect with one of our landscape professionals here and get your list and say, well, here's where they are. So we're here to help you. No matter what your gardening situation is, we've got solutions for it. And it's really a good idea to incorporate natives into your landscape.
Yes.
The birds and the bees, you've all heard about those, haven't you? They really appreciate the native pollinators. So getting, as they say, a third for the birds, as my wife would like to say. It's a cool way to
I love that.
A cool way to put it. So we keep the natives in mind, and then we've got everything else to go with it, including an extensive selection of perennials, annuals, and of course the best soil on the planet and amendments, Earth Mix Garden products. So no matter what you're looking for, we've got it here, and we're going to help you have success and help you to get the right plants in the right place the first time, because that's the way we do it here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. I also write a weekly newsletter. Love to have you be a subscriber to that. If you just scroll down the main page right there, just below the header is this newsletter link. Put your name, address, click that you actually want it, and then hit the subscribe button. It'll come to you until you say you don't want it anymore, and then all you have to do is just click on unsubscribe in any newsletter, and it'll go away. You don't have to mark it as junk.
No.
If you subscribe to it, just unsubscribe if you don't want it anymore. That's the way to deal with it. And
it only comes once a week.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a quick read. It's neat.
350 words. There's a whole story about that somewhere back in there about the derivation of that little concept. But it's exactly 350 words, and it comes out at 3:50 every Thursday.
Not 3:30?
350.
Oh.
350. I would have to cut my word count down, Josh.
You can't do that.
That's just too few.
At 3:30, Dave is very busy.
Yes.
Yes. So, check that out. We invite you to come see us. We're conveniently located 1 mile north of Riley Parkway at exit 19 on Whites Creek Pike, which is just minutes from Rivergate, Opry Mills, Nashville West, downtown Nashville. And I promise you this, no matter where you're coming from, it is worth the drive. We're open from 9 until 4 o'clock Monday through Saturday, noon until 4 on Sunday. Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932. There's my grandmother right there, Bessie Bates.
Bessie.
Bessie.
Hey, you forgot to, folks, when you come out here to the nursery, you see all the stuff that's on the outside. Don't forget to go inside. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a department back there that is pretty spectacular.
There is.
It's a great one.
Are you talking about Caroline?
Caroline's department. Yeah.
Let's go inside this room right now.
Yeah.
In room with Caroline.
Nothing in my
Segue.
department in here, but let's talk about stuff we have at the nursery. We've got some really pretty plants in here and some of my favorite this morning. So in the corners behind my head and David's as well, we've got a katsura. So 2 in each corner, looking tall, beautiful, dainty little leaves.
Cool tree.
And then right next to David, I brought in a crepe myrtle. So mine is finally starting to come up. I like crepe myrtle blooms, but I almost like the new growth coming up on them. There it is, Vanna. Thank you so much. So the new leaves coming out, those red that are gonna darken a little bit. I mean,
Is that a red
everybody
rocker?
loves a crepe myrtle. Honestly, I don't know. I just saw the color and the height, and I said, "You're going into the room with me this morning."
Yep.
And underneath the TV, we've got big blue stem. I believe this is called Holy Smoke. So you can't really see it on the camera, but it has a little bit of like purplish blue in the leaves. I am a big fan of little blue stem, big blue stem. Good for the pollinators. Great for birds in
How
the
about
winter.
medium blue stem?
Don't like that one. I
Okay.
want it to be big or small. I don't want it in between. But this is a great grass. Come out, see Bridget. She loves this grass, and she dwells in the grass area here at the nursery.
She is a bona fide grass expert.
Yes, she
Bona
is.
fide.
You should see Bridget's eyes light up when she talks about grass. When I go to ask her a question, she's just like, "Oh, yeah." She
When
loves
she
it.
helps you have to say, grassy ass.
Good one.
Okay.
Josh distracting us.
That is
during
not
this
a requirement.
segment.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
No.
You
So,
should say thank you.
in front of us sitting here, we brought in all gold juniper. Austin and I both have this planted. I love mine. I copied Austin a little bit. He planted it first. I saw his and I was like, oh,
He's got a worth of grow on it.
he does
On-
have a
on
worth of
YouTube.
grow.
Yeah, they're
It's really great. Mine
really
hasn't given me
awesome.
any trouble. The only trouble it's given me is when my husband stepped on it because there was snow on top of it and he didn't see it and it killed part of it. I cut it back and now it looks great.
Now,
They're flush and heavy right now.
These are things
Yeah.
that look great together here in the studio,
Yes.
although they wouldn't really be using the landscape
Correct.
together.
Yeah, you would not want to plant these together.
The junipers are full sun and heucheras are
Heuchera are
Full
shade
shade, yeah.
lover. So we've got champagne, which Austin was just showing off right there, and then fire alarm down in front. Fire alarm, so red.
love it.
It's stunning. I don't have that one yet. I probably need to add it to my heuchera collection. I love heuchera, y'all. Blooming right now. It's great. You can't go wrong with it. In front, we've got pop star hydrangea. Y'all, we're pop stars in here, so we had to bring him in. Where is it, Tyler?
Hold
it's in
on.
the
Hold on. I've
shot.
got
Is
another
it too
camera.
low?
Shut up.
Is it-
I've got another camera. Don't worry.
Here he goes. Oh,
Hey.
That's right.
Oh, those
Oh.
are good.
We got Tyler some new toys a couple weeks ago,
We
by the way.
did,
So
yeah.
he's coming around on them.
Yeah.
Those are so good.
look at him. I see why it's called pop star.
They're popping.
Everybody needs it. And then lastly, we'll go ahead and move up to our Lazy Susan, to our plant spotlight.
Wow.
We've got Seaside Serenade, Cape May Hydrangea from Monrovia.
That
This is the last one left at the nursery, and it might be going home with someone in this room.
well, you know, I took a
Josh,
photograph
you're
when we
looking at
got some in. You know, Ryan over in the Baitstream area pointed them and said, "Look at these! You got to see them." And you know, they're one of those plants that is quite astounding.
Yeah, it's
And
a showstopper.
took a
Folks, you
photograph.
cannot appreciate how beautiful the blooms
I sent that
are.
Bring
home.
it back,
I
Tyler.
sent that
Bring
home
it back.
to my dear bride Renee, and then I got a note back. We need one.
Yes.
So
The blooms
Yeah,
are
look at
almost
the blue in the
iridescent.
middle
I mean,
of
you
this
cannot
one coming.
appreciate the true color of these. That almost doesn't look real.
It's stunning.
well, it stupefies me
It's crazy.
because I'm easily stupefied.
But that's what we have in room today.
Great
Y'all
work.
come out, see us, get you some plants.
Yeah.
With all this rain we had, it's a great time to plant. I have a bunch of stuff I'm going to put in the ground
it
tomorrow.
appears that it's going to be a great time to plant all summer long
Yes.
because we just keep getting rain.
Seriously.
Yes, we do.
It is looking lush out there. And fluffy.
We have come to our hydrangea portion of the show, y'all.
Always.
Time. Always. So let's start strong with an oak leaf question. I have an oak leaf hydrangea that hasn't bloomed in years. Had one bloom last year and now nothing. What are your thoughts?
Shade.
Strange.
It might be in deep shade. It's still weird though. Is there a phosphorus deficiency? That might be. I mean, we've talked about this before. If your middle number in your soil is low, it may not bloom. So come out and get some added phosphorus. Let's at least start with that. I mean, it's literally
It can't hurt.
no, it's not going to hurt. I mean, you come out here and you see the fertilizer bag that's got literally blooms of like crepe myrtle on it or whatever. Like it promotes blooming. So I'm assuming you have a deficiency there. Let's start with that and see if we can't turn that around because there's nothing worse than a hydrangea that doesn't bloom.
Yeah, the problem is that if you correct that deficiency, is it going to reveal itself, that correction, this year?
No,
And that's the problem.
that is the problem. It would probably be a next year thing.
It means go ahead and do it now and then be prepared to do it again next spring earlier.
We want to check the pH too.
You can, but I mean, the pH shouldn't be
Right.
affecting blooms. I would.
Huh. All right, let's get to another question. We got a live hydrangea question in. My panicle hydrangeas are 4 foot tall. Can I prune back now to prevent flopping?
I think yes. Now, what you're going to sacrifice is they're going to bloom later than everyone else is around town, and they're going to bloom smaller. But are they going to flop? Probably not. So this is a good practice. I would have already recommended you do this earlier than now because panicles are probably about to start budding soon. So it's not like this wouldn't be ideal time. Like next year, do it earlier. But if you just want to do it, I want you to do it to experiment with it. I want you to see how it does, and then I want you to send us pictures whenever it is in bloom. So for my sake, do it.
Yeah, I've got Annabelle's in my landscape at home, and last year the guys that do our trimming for us, I don't do it anymore because I look like this.
You don't have to.
Anyway,
people.
they did not cut them back far enough to suit me. So I did pass along the thing that I really wanted them cut back to at least a foot above the ground, short. You know, now they're back to 30 inches, 36 inches, and beginning to bud up. So, and they will not flop. And so you have to. There's that little pain of looking bad for a little while to gain the long-term benefit of them not flopping. And they won't flop even if it storms pretty hard. I mean, it would have to be something
Like what hit Houston.
Yes, it would have to be something like that to make them flop because the stems are short and you do have slightly smaller flowers, but you have more of them.
Hey, we've asked for a couple of pictures this week. Where do we send pictures if we want the folk?
Send to gardeninginsideout@gmail.com.
That's easy.
Yeah, easy to remember.
We love pictures.
We
Yes.
do. We love seeing photos and sharing photos. But let's stick on this hydrangea topic because, y'all, we got a lot. We got another live one in. Our pop star hydrangea, shade or sun?
They're a part shade plant, so like all the macrophylas, that's avoid afternoon blazing sun. Even avoid like say 2 o'clock on sun like that. We don't really want that. Morning sun's okay, and the macrophylas do still need a fair amount of sun to bloom, but just not that horrible hot time of day. They don't want
Eastern
it.
exposure,
Yes.
if any way possible. If you wonder which way east is, that's the direction the sun comes up in. So,
Yep.
Yes, it is. You were right about that. All right, I have small brown spots that are in clusters on my hydrangea. What could this be?
Me and Tyler talked about this yesterday, actually, and I've got this exact same problem. I'm assuming you're talking about a panicle. That's not always the case, but panicle hydrangeas are very unique in the way that any insect activity that gets on a panicle hydrangea will make brown spots. And it's even a rogue caterpillar or, say, flea beetle. Flea beetle really likes hydrangea a lot, and if you just get 1 or 2 in there and they cause any mouth parts that have the sucking effect of getting the juice out of the leaf, like anytime that happens with any insect, it creates brown spots on the tops of leaves. I just noticed it yesterday on mine. I've seen it for years on hydrangeas, and that's what they do. So it's probably an insect. If it's not, like I said, if it's not like 90% of the plant, if it's like 10% of the plant, then that's okay. You can pluck those leaves off. It's going to bloom. It's going to be fine. But yeah, that's kind of unique about those.
Interesting. All right, where should we plant reblooming hydrangeas like the Let's Dance series? Sun or shade?
Same way like I was just talking about with Popstar. It's going to be that morning sun environment, afternoon shade if we can help it, or like a filtered sun environment through the trees all day long.
Yep.
That's a good environment
Like
for
this.
them. Yes.
put your arms up. There you go.
All of that.
All of that
Is
stuff.
that the tree canopy, Austin?
That was.
Or you were
That's
doing the
great.
train.
I wasn't doing the train. I was doing the tree canopy
Oh, well.
and the
In my
filtered
mind, you
light.
did the
That's what
train.
that was.
Oh, the sprinkly
Well,
filter.
Yes,
light.
the filtered light.
It's almost like the robot, right?
Yeah, it was. It was little robot-esque, I would say. Love
I
it when
think it
you
was-
dance on the show
I
with
was
our viewers,
dancing.
Austin.
Yes,
You always bring up the dancing. There's no dancing.
Because it's great.
He danced with his arms for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, final hydrangea
even.
question of the morning. Are you ready?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Oh, well.
Tyler's
I'm
not.
gonna
Just
go ahead and-
kidding.
Can you recommend a unique hydrangea for a shady spot in the garden?
That one.
That one. Right there.
The lazy Susan
Hit it,
one.
Tyler.
Fade it.
Gotta
Fade
have
it,
it.
Tyler.
Get
Fade
it,
it in.
Tyler.
Put me on the
You
spot.
gotta be ready.
I just used the wrong camera.
No.
I'm sorry.
It would have been so
It was so
great.
dramatic. There it is. Use that one.
Man.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it'll handle some shade like we talked about. The Incredible hydrangea, by far my favorite. That can handle deep shade too.
Yeah.
Or a full sun. Like it's very versatile. So mine are so budded up right now, y'all. Every single stem just filled with buds.
Those
Yeah,
arms
there I did
again.
it again. Next question.
Mine are great. My dog ran over one of them, and
Gosh, your dogs and husband are just
really?
wreckers of plants.
well, they are everywhere. So it's not really their fault. It's a little bit of mine. Hey, Colin did send up a follow-up about that question.
Okay.
Basically told them to treat it with neem oil. The friend did not dilute it and covered all the leaves in straight concentrated neem oil, which is going to immediately smother them.
And here is a bit of direction with respect to all chemicals that you might spray. Read the entire label.
Seriously.
The directions. If even as a guy who's been spraying for a whole lot of years, I still reread it
Every time.
every time.
Yeah.
So,
Some of them have
Because-
I do
specific
too.
ones for specific types of plants too.
And neem oil specifically, you can talk about that probably in your houseplant world. There's some plants that do not
not.
take
I like
neem
it.
oil at all.
Yeah, I do not use neem oil on like kind of like papery leaf houseplants. It will smother them and they will look brown very
Yeah, they don't
quickly.
like it's an oil.
Yeah.
Right.
That's hence the name neem oil. So
Yeah.
got to be careful.
And especially this time of year where the sun's hot, if you put neem oil on your plants and it's in the
Cook
sun,
'em.
it's going to cook them.
Yeah.
It's going to cook them.
said the friend, she literally painted on the oil.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, that's not on you, Colin. You did your
No.
best.
Yeah, you're fine.
You're fine. We got another live question in from Joan on Facebook. Joan says, Agapanthus, will it survive our winters? If I plant it in the ground, would you dig them up and bring them inside the garage during the winter?
Okay, great question, Joan. I'm on the fence with Agapanthus as well. It's like right on the line. Okay, so you really. I can't help it. But Agapanthus is beautiful. It's super beautiful, especially in Southern California. Okay, I've seen it out there, just fantastic.
But-
Around here, it's risky. So if you got that full sun hot spot in your yard, you can try Agapanthus and see if it overwinters.
There are cultivars that are a bit more winter hardy than others. The more gorgeous ones are not.
Yeah, and it just depends. It really the past 2 winters, what Agapanthus live, I doubt it. I really
Probably
doubt it.
none of 'em.
Yeah, but it's still worth a try because they are really, really beautiful, and they're not all that expensive.
But
It's a perennial.
they might if you mulch them
Yeah.
heavily and did some extra things. But these are things that are difficult to remember to do when it's down to it. Okay, I've got this.
It's really
Agapanthus-
cold outside, too. when
Yeah,
that's
I don't
going
want to go
on,
out
man.
there. I'll get it. I'll do it next week when it warms up.
Yeah.
Too late.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
Yep. We got a couple things on the Facebook page. For one, where did it go? Jan is saying, way to go, Tyler, with the camera work.
There you go.
yeah.
I hope you
Tyler's
enjoy it,
killing
folks.
Why?
It's worth the upgrade.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
in
really
visual quality.
It's really great.
These
You're
cameras
doing amazing
move.
things. I don't know how Tyler does all this.
I don't either.
I would panic and then everything would break. And then Risha says her butterfly bush is alive. It's coming back and has a lot of leaves. Thank you for buying it.
You're welcome, Reesh.
Yeah, I was glad that you had to buy her that.
Yeah, I'm sure
He
you
didn't
were.
just randomly pick out this customer. He lost a bet.
I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember exactly what it was.
I forgot that butterfly bush was in bloom one time, and they called me out.
right.
That's
Okay.
right. And
And
then
then
you
I
said
was
if
like,
you
I'll
come out
buy
to the
you
nursery,
one.
I'll buy you one. Okay, so it wasn't really losing a bet.
No.
You lost a plant in
Saving
your head.
face.
Yeah.
whatever.
Let's talk about Japanese maple for a moment. Japanese maple looks like new growth in the stems, but still no leaves. Is it dead?
No leaves at this point. She dead. Sorry.
There's your answer right there.
I mean, it's
I
gotta
was
be, right?
holding
There's
out
no
for,
leaves.
Right. I was holding out for my Makawa because it did look alive. The buds looked fresh, but it's not
and
coming
what
out.
has probably occurred, the Japanese maples took it on the chin last year as well. I mean, that was in December 22, and many of them recovered, but
Sorta.
only partially. So they were much weakened state, and then they got pretty well hammered yet again for a second year, already in a weakened state. Normally, either one of those years would not have done them in, but those two back to back, pretty tough.
Pretty
Lost Mr.
tough.
Wu.
Hey, let's get one more
Sorry.
question in. What's your favorite dwarf Japanese maple and why? Mine is no longer Makawa because
Mine
it died.
still is Mikawa Yatsubusa.
mine.
Sharp's pygmy.
Hey,
Got two
David
of them in my
Goodwin.
house.
Wow.
Those are pretty.
I use them as a low hedge under a north-facing window. They're
Oh,
really
that's a
nice.
fantastic
They
idea.
look nice.
A
Hey.
low hedge under a north-facing window.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Oh, you know what the music means, David?
Hey, it means we're done for this week.
Yeah.
Aw.
But next Saturday morning, we'll come back.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're out there, share the video anytime you can. Hit the bells if you got to do the bells.
Exaggerate the quality
Yes,
of it.
I mean, tell everybody
we're
about
okay
what's
with
going on. We really are. Hey, watch out for the podcast that comes out on Wednesday, and listen to that. And Bates Nursery Botanical Boot Camps shows up every once in a
That's
while.
right. Renee Bates is out there on amaryllis repotting.
Yay,
So
Renee.
you might check that out.
Yes.
But for everybody here at Gardening Inside Out, we appreciate you joining us. Hey, come out here to the nursery and see what's going on.
We got it going on.
Yeah, they got it going on everywhere. Hey, we'll see you next Saturday morning right here from the Green Room Studios for another hour of Gardening Inside Out.
Oh.